we're going to be talking about a global water crisis that is starting to take place. Now, this video is going to be primarily for educational purposes, for all of us just to know exactly what's going on in the world today. So let's waste no time. Let's get right into the content today. Before we do, if you like content like this, leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this and hit that thumbs up button for me. There is a global water crisis that is starting to unfold, and we all need to know exactly what's going on. Now, water is one of the most essential basic necessities to mankind. We know our lives depend on water, and due to climate change, we are headed into dangerous territory when it comes to water supply. Now, drought-like conditions in different parts of the world are starting to become a big problem. In a lot of parts of the world, the supply of rain, the amount of rain that we get, and other global issues that we're starting to see with climate change, climate disasters, are really affecting the water supply. Even some parts of the world that might not get too much rain, they depend on certain things like runoffs from mountains, or they would expect to see more rain than they are seeing right now. Extended periods of drought that we're starting to see, lack of rain, lack of clean drinking water, water that we could use for farming, for cleaning, cooking, basic necessities, is starting to get into critical levels. It's something that really needs to be addressed soon because it could turn into a catastrophe. And let's be clear, there is a lot of water on this planet. There's the majority of this world is covered in water. When we look at the oceans, the seas, the lakes, there's an abundance of water. So, but it's drinking water. It's clean, safe water, water that we could use for farming, for cooking, you know, that type of water that's gone through the system, that we could purchase at the store, that we could run through our sinks. It's a system that this water has to go through in order to be used by us in our daily lives. That's different than the water that we see in the oceans and these lakes. That type of water we can't just drink. You know, it's not the same thing. And the processes for cleaning, purifying the water, at this point we might have to come up with some different methods. We might have to evolve the way that we do things. There's already talks in certain parts of the world, you know, cutting off the supply, since it is so scarce, you know, really figuring out how are we going to use it, when can different groups of people use it, some things that we might not be used to. At this point, I'm used to just turning on my sink whenever I want to. I'm used to taking a shower whenever I want to, watering my grass, watering my flowers. And when it comes to even bigger things like farming, how they take care of their livestock, how they take care of their vegetation, you know, for everyday things, we might start to see some interruptions that we might not be used to. We might end up being put into some uncomfortable situations because there's a global water crisis that's starting to unfold, and water is starting to become more scarce. Now, water supply issues are popping up all over the world. This is starting to become a problem in more and more places. Two places in particular that are really having a tough time right now is the western portion of the United States and also Europe right now. Now, in the western United States, they are familiar with drought-like conditions. There's a big chunks of the western United States that is an actual desert. That is the climate, that is the habitat over there. But the type of droughts that they're having and the extent of the droughts, after the western United States have had drought-like conditions for what seems like decades at this point. And at this point particularly, you know, reservoirs that have been built to hold water, to make sure that everybody has enough water, certain lakes that were built for these specific purposes, they're at critically low levels right now, and it's starting to become dangerous, because if they do get too low and you can't use them anymore, then, you know, we're talking about crisis, catastrophe on a whole nother level. So there's a lot of things that need to be done. There's a lot of warning signs right now. Alarms are starting to go off. We're starting to get to that critical part when it comes to the water supply in the western United States. So what we're going to see more of, you're going to see mandatory cutbacks. So these lakes that, you know, a lot of these states are sharing the water supply from, you're going to see enforced by the government mandatory cutbacks, things like rolling blackouts for energy purposes, and you know, just this very strict way that the government is going to go about it to make sure that, you know, we don't reach catastrophes when it comes to the water supply. There's also very outdated water systems in a lot of different parts in the country. The water systems, it seems like they're on their last leg. They're broken. They need to be fixed. Even the runoffs from the mountains, you know, using that, knowing that you kind of depended on that for a while, but because of climate change, it's becoming less dependable. Action needs to be taken in order to make sure that people have, you know, what really is just a basic necessity of life: water, drinking water, water that we could use for farming, for everyday activities, to make sure that enough people have access to it. Action needs to be taken. Another place that's going through a very tough time right now is Europe. Now, Europe is experiencing a hot summer. The summer of 2022 has been such a heat wave for Europe. I've heard some people say that these are conditions that haven't been seen in Europe in over 500 years. So when we talk about climate change, when we talk about climate issues, that is what we're talking about. Such a heat wave and a lack of rain. You know, rain is just not pouring down. We've seen in Europe, you know, water just dry up. So whole habitats, you know, rivers so low you can't even put a boat on them. Fish dying from the rivers. Some areas getting so dry, just fires, you know, threatening people's homes, farms, livelihood. It's getting really bad because of the heat wave, the climate change, and when you don't have rain, you're just compounding issues on top of issues. It's completely messed up Europe right now. And you know, when it comes to different things like I said, farming, cooking, basic things that we do on a regular basis, you know, you absolutely need water in order to be able to grow food, to farm, to, you know, sustain your livestock, all of that stuff. But when the water levels are so low, we're at these critical points. Mandatory cutbacks. You have to decide who gets some water. You know, you have to do it in a fair way to where everybody has access, but you know, somebody like a farmer or somebody that's producing crops and livestock, do they get, you know, first dibs? Do they get more than other people? You know, while people in the cities might suffer a little bit more. You know, there's some tough questions that ultimately the governments are going to have to be the ones to answer. But these are things that we're at a point right now where, you know, we need to set a structure in place, because from a lack of rain, climate change, environmental issues, we are reaching a critical level when it comes to water.